10 Ways to Make $1 Million. Number 1. Be in the top 1% of a lucrative profession. Shocking, right? Be really good at a job that pays really well. It is super easy to become a millionaire if you know what you're doing and you're specialized. Doctors, lawyers, upper management in the US and Europe earn on average over $150,000 per year. If you're really good at what you do and hyper-specialized, you can double or even triple that amount. The highest paying job with the lowest barriers of entry is sales. If you know how to sell, you can make a ton of money no matter where you find yourself. Compared to doctors and lawyers, the 1% of salespeople earn north of $250,000 per year, which will have them pass the $1 million mark in just 4 years. Not to mention that selling is an incredibly valuable skill for all the strategies we will discuss throughout this video. We will make a video on the best books on selling sometime soon, but if you want to start today, we recommend you pick up the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone or the Sales Bible by Jeffrey Gitomer. Speaking of books, number 2. Write several books that sell. The trap many people fall is that they think you need to write the next Harry Potter or 50 Shades of Grey in order to get rich from books. The likelihood of you knocking it out of the park is incredibly low. That said, getting to $1 million from writing books is a pretty doable job if you find the right angle and an audience willing to purchase. Few people know this, but in order to become a New York Times best-selling author, you only need to sell around 10,000 books. It can even be as low as 5,000 books if you've been on the list before. If your writing is good, just keep putting out more and more books until one of them is a hit. There are plenty of examples of people who did it this way, but our favorite is by far Amanda Hocking. You probably have no idea who she is. She's been rejected by almost every single publisher in the game. None of her novels were given a shot. She was broke, but really wanted to go to a Muppets convention, but she needed the money for gas in order to drive to the event. In order to make some of the $300 she needed, she self-published her novels on Kindle. 1 month later she had made over $20,000, so she added all her novels up there. 20 months into it, she's made over $2.5 million from books which were not good enough to be picked up by a publisher. Pro tip: if you have a podcast, a blog, a YouTube channel, any form of audience, people will want to support your efforts and are even willing to pre-order your work just to share the journey with you. Number 3. License a patent or trademark to a big company. Another creative way to add value to the world is by being an inventor, designer, or engineer. If you can figure out a way to solve a problem better than what's out there already, you could be sitting on a gold mine. A great example of this is Lonnie Johnson. Again, you probably have no idea who he is, but you've probably heard of the Super Soaker. While toying around the Euro, pun intended, a Euro, he created this cool toy, but didn't have the skills to create an entire company, produce, market, and sell individual products. So he licensed the technology to a company called Hasbro. He got paid a 3% royalty out of the price of every unit sold, making over $100 million from this deal alone. He now has 80 patents and a net worth of over $350 million. Pro tip: we know patents are expensive, but there are certain ways to protect yourself even without having an international issued patent. What you need to do is to document how your invention works in extreme details. Have that in writing and burned onto a CD or USB drive and mail it in a sealed envelope to yourself. When the envelope arrives back, it should contain the date and stamp of a governmental institution. Never break the seal. If it comes to it, this is your undeniable proof that you were the first one to figure this out, and rights should be awarded to you in a patent case, or at least end up in a highly lucrative settlement. Number 4. Start a dropshipping company under your own label. For those of you who have no idea what dropshipping is, it's a very fun and interesting business model, where you find a supplier, someone who can create, package, and deliver a product on your behalf. Your job is to bring in the sales. Here's how it goes. Let's say you found a supplier who can package and deliver weight loss tea from China for $5 per package. You now set up a website where you sell that exact product for $20 a piece. When the order comes in, you send over the $5 to the supplier with the details from the order, who takes care of everything and delivers the item to the buyer on your behalf, yourself keeping the remaining $15. Cha-ching. Profit. We didn't choose weight loss tea by accident. We've actually studied and analyzed the success a young entrepreneur named Greta Van Riel had in this space. She's the one who started the entire Instagram model fitness tea phenomenon. 6 months into her business, she was bringing in over $500,000 per month. If that number shocks you, you might want to read up on her, since she's one of our personal heroes. During new product launches, she made over $1 million in a single day, just to let you know that these kind of numbers are possible. You know how Kylie Jenner is almost a billionaire now? She's been using the dropshipping model as well. She owns 100% of the company and only has 6 employees. All production and fulfillment is outsourced to a different company. Number 5. Start a small business and keep growing. Although most of the ideas mentioned on this list are super specific, the way most people end up millionaires is by creating a small business and growing it. We know it sounds a tad more general, but this comprises the hustler mindset, which is focused on growth. Starting a new business is always difficult, but the path is more or less the same no matter which business you choose. It all starts with solving a problem, figuring out how to get paid, and then bringing in people so that you can focus on what is important for the business to grow. Everyone has a couple of business ideas in their heads. It's just a matter of implementation. Although that might sound overwhelming, the process is pretty straightforward and simple. If you're planning on starting your first business, there probably isn't a more important video to watch than this one. Number 6. Aggressively save money and put it in index funds for several years. You need to understand the power of the compound interest and use it to get rich. Someone might say it's the most important mathematical discovery in the world. And by someone we mean Albert Einstein, who numerous times referred to it as compound interest as the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't pays it. If you understand money and investment funds, you know that 7% annual return is easily doable. Now it's a matter of just how much money you can save. Traditional strategies go like these. If you're able to save 10% of your yearly income, and let's say you earn $50,000 per year, it will take you 40 years to get to $1 million saved. But who wants to be a millionaire when they're old? That's not anyone's way. It gets a lot more interesting if you are able to play around with those numbers. You should try to increase all 3 most important variables: the amount of money you earn, the amount of money you are able to put aside, the return on your investment. While the first 2 depend on your own choices, the third one on the other hand is pretty straightforward. For example, the first thing we would do is take the money out of a 7% mutual fund and put it in an index fund like the S&P 500. For those of you new to this, the S&P 500 is a fund made out of the top 500 companies in the US. If a company is not performing well, it's being taken out and replaced by a new worthy company. For the past 90 years, the S&P 500 generated an average of 10% yearly return. Although we are not sponsored by them, we would recommend you look into Vanguard and Robinhood. If you are not the entrepreneurial type, meaning you're not sure how to create a multi-million-dollar company by selling products or services, there's this really great book by Tony Robbins called Money, Master the Game, which we can't recommend enough. It's the book we gift our friends on how to get rich is the safest way possible. Number 7. Do an eco. For the past couple of years, crypto has been the wild west of money. The amount of people who go really rich really fast on crypto has been astonishing to us. For those not familiar with the crypto terminology, initial coin offerings, also known as ECOs, are an alternative form of crowdfunding, where a company issues tokens at a discounted price so they can use the early funding to create a digital service which will run on said tokens. If the product is successful, your initial tokens could skyrocket in value based on the demand for them. We would not actually recommend investing in other people's ecos unless you know them to be trustworthy and have a solid team behind them. Instead, create your own blockchain-based company and seek private investors to back it up. Only after the product has gained some traction you should be ready of your own eco, where you open it to the public as early investors. Every single type of financial related service is getting disrupted by blockchain. Your goal is to find where you fit in this cluster of new services. No matter what your stance on Bitcoin and Ethereum is, blockchain is here to stay, and we would actually recommend you start teaching yourself more and more about the industry if you want to make sense of the future. Number 8. Purchase a franchise and make it really successful. If you're not the creative type, a franchise is a simple and lucrative way to get yourself into a business, because somebody else has already optimized it for you. You just need to make sure things keep on moving the way they should. A franchise, for those of you who don't know, is where a company creates a lucrative business with an already established brand that's made out of a simplified system which can be duplicated over and over again. Think McDonald's or Starbucks. So how does this work? You reach out to the company with the aim of buying a franchise. There are two types of costs you need to know about: a standard franchise fee and a percentage of the business you're generating. In exchange for this money, the company provides all the tools you need to get the business up and running. You can find profitable franchises starting as low as $10,000, but depending on what you're looking for, there are obviously more expensive options. For example, a Dunkin' Donuts franchise fee is between $40,000 and $90,000 depending on location. But that's not all. The company requires you have at least $250,000 in liquid assets just to make sure you can keep the thing running. It's up to you to find the right franchise for your geography and budget. Number 9. Work for someone who's a multimillionaire, or even better, work for someone who's a billionaire. The quickest way to making your first $1 million is to work directly for someone who's made $1 billion. Rich people value time above everything else, and they really value people who are able to save them time. The way to do this is to find someone who's incredibly wealthy and help him either save time or make more money. Either way, you'll find that their generosity is directly proportional to the value you bring into their lives. Before you get a shot at this, it is important to know that you should already have a trust-based relationship with the wealthy individual. The last thing you want to do, and we can't stress this enough, is to spam the hell out of people with how you have this idea which will change the world. Believe it or not, even we get at least 100 emails like these every month, which we will never reply to. When most people think of multimillionaires, they usually envision entrepreneurs starting companies. But the truth is, roughly 1 in 5 millionaires work for someone else, and that's how they got rich. If you think about it, you are more likely to become a millionaire by working for a wealthy individual than becoming a millionaire by starting your own business. If this is your plan, we recommend you find yourself a mentor. These people are open to helping you grow. They provide guidance and opportunities which you wouldn't have access to otherwise. If they trust you enough, they will bring you into their organizations and make sure you're being taken care of. Number 10. Go viral on YouTube. Who would have thought that going viral on YouTube could make you a millionaire? This all changed in the last couple of years. It obviously depends on the type of video, if it's advertiser friendly, and who is watching the video, but a ballpark figure would be somewhere between 500 million and a billion views. For example, Gangnam Style alone made over $8 million. It's not all YouTube advertising alone, but the exposure got him plenty of extra opportunities, and C is still cashing in big. Believe it or not, that video is still making him decent money today. You also have large creators leveraging their YouTube fame to create additional revenue sources like the Paul brothers do with their Merc lines, or how Jeffree Star did with his makeup line. YouTube is the new TV, that's why we're here ourselves. Thank you, and please subscribe.